what needs to be done. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Queer in Present Danger, where we talk about politics from a queer lens. And I am JB, and I am one of your hosts. And we have an amazing special guest today, so we're just going to get right into all of the things. I am here with my co-hosts. First things first, he just told me
we had a cold opening today.
Yeah.
He just told me about how he left his water in the car with some rinds in it and then drank it. Tyler, what is going on? What is we going?
It was lime water, okay? So it's like, antibacterial and all that shit. So it's totally fine. But it tasted kind of rindy, and so I'm like, so I threw it out and got some fresh water. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you did that. That makes me happy. I want to see you living. I don't want to catch botulism or whatever you can get from that. So I don't know.
They were just lime slices.
He's staving off scurvy. It's fine.
What are you, a pirate? Well, you are a
pirate.
That's fine.
That's his weekend.
Yeah, you are going to be a buff pirate this weekend. You're going to fucking New Orleans. Anyway, our other co-host. How are you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah.
Good. And now to the man who will not take his hair down because it's hot and humid.
It sucks. Oh.
Tig, how are you doing, Tig?
I'm doing good. I really wish the rain had actually fallen here because the humidity it left behind is a travesty against mankind, and I just need it to stop. But I'm doing good otherwise. I'm trudging through the end of the month and all of the struggles that brings with work, but otherwise it's been a good week. Things are going pretty good.
Good. All right, guys. And last time we had our friend Dougie on, and he did so great that I felt like it's time to I needed to raise the bar. And so, direct from Atlanta, Georgia, my own personal Julia Sugarbaker, my voodoo priestess Mayhunta, my light in the darkness, the person who knows where the bodies are buried because they're his bodies. Joshua!
Hi, everybody. Make America great again.
Oh, God. Get him out.
I thought you said he was Julia Sugarbaker.
Okay, as a note, and Josh can tell us more about this tonight.
The fuck great American channel is this?
The actress who played Julia Sugarbaker was a staunch conservative.
It's true.
We still love her.
We do still love her. Listen, I don't have a problem with conservatives. It just is what it, we just disagree on things.
Yeah.
Like my right to exist.
Yeah, but in their defense, I'm sometimes I debate your right to exist sometimes too. Not necessarily conservative values so much as just knowing you well.
So, John, how are you doing?
Doing well. So close to the Lord, one spray of good perfume hits us both.
Okay. Well, that's good. It's good to know. I do see that you got your tagline. You're a prophet, you're a pastor, you're a prophetess. You're the Kim Burrell of white people.
I need to jot that down.
Nice.
For those who don't know Josh and I have been friends for far too long. We need to do something about that. But we
stop being friends.
I don't really know what there is to do about that.
Was like,
at this point, what are we going to
do about that?
It was an open-ended thing. I was like, where do you go with that?
I mean, listen, Josh and I have been friends long. Josh knew me when I was a shitty person. So, like yesterday.
I guess what we do about it is, honestly, there's only
When you
one way
were
this could ever end. We're going to have to fight to the death.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Like, it's gonna have to be a like full on Beyond the Thunderdome. Tina Turner is literally going to come in and be like, one man enter, 2 men enter, 1 man leave.
There it is.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. So, guys, on this episode, the first thing we're gonna do, like, how's everybody feeling about politics and things post DNC? There it is.
It cooled off enough. I needed to get it down. So I'm hopeful. Everything seems to be rolling toward the Harris Walls camp, as far as especially a lot of the quote battleground states, which I absolutely abhor. I think that tagline is a bullshit tagline and essentially wipes out literally 2/3, if not 3/4 of the entire country, saying that we don't matter. So I hate that. I absolutely hate that. It happens every 4 years. It is the dumbest tagline, but it is, unfortunately, and I've already spoken about this, the problem with the Electoral College. That just is the problem. But
we will one day get into the Electoral College.
I know. I've shared a little bit, but
not to mention the verbiage itself is confrontational and aggressive.
Yeah, it is meant to treat politics like war. It is the entire point behind it of there will be a winner, there will be a loser. Pick your side, and it's like the fuck. This isn't using your moment ago. This isn't the Thunderdome. Like. The idea is supposed to be we find the best person that will represent the United States, not if your side wins, we hate you. That's all it really does. And that's the way the media has been portraying politics for the last 30 years, 40 years.
It's not even, no, actually, it's not. They weren't using the red state, blue state.
Well, yeah, till the 90s.
Till 2000. 2000 was the first time that they ever used.
That's right. Whenever they were starting to do the maps for the Gore Bush.
Yep. So there was never this idea of battleground states. You know, it wasn't. Because red states and blue states didn't exist. So now that we've gotten into this, I think you're right. There is this, like, you know, 2 man enter, or in this case, 2 people enter, 1 person leaves, hopefully woman, but. You know, we'll get into that. We'll just put that in the thing. But yeah, like, no, I get what you're saying. What about you, Ty? Oops, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, from that perspective, it's just something that frustrates me, but I'm excited with some of the way the things have been polling.
Okay.
So for me, I did not watch the DNC at all. I didn't watch the RNC. I didn't watch the DNC. I'm not that heavily vested in the, thing. But I am hopeful. I was reading some interesting things that people had messaged about various different things. And someone pointed out that back in 2016, the polls were showing Hillary ahead, and we all know how that ended up playing out. Mm-hmm. So I am hoping that it's not another repeat of that situation.
Well, I think that Hillary was a special case in the sense that there was a level of Clinton fatigue, especially after James Comey kind of came out right before, or about a month before, and was like, we're going to reopen this investigation. It kind of confirmed to a subset of the population that, like, Hillary bad. And
there
then
were bodies to uncover.
Right. And then, when we get to like 3 days before the election, he comes back out and says, "Oh, there was nothing to see here. It's fine." The damage had already been done. And so I think that has a lot to do with why Hillary lost the electoral college vote, because we have to remember that she won the popular vote. Technically, Hillary Clinton won that election. She just didn't.
But so did Gore.
Yeah. This is true.
Yeah.
But we have Florida to blame for that.
Yeah, those hanging chads. All those
hanging
chads all the way up to the Supreme Court, but
it's still Josh's fault. What about you, Josh? What are your thoughts?
But the other thing, Mark Zuckerberg sent out. I don't know if you had read it or heard about that. But there was a press release that he sent to the House Judiciary Committee, saying that he was pressured by Biden to like not show or to hide certain news information and things that came on the platform for Facebook. And so, like, to that, basically, my thought is, okay, I wasn't really like 100% for Biden to begin with. That still doesn't sway my opinion on Kamala Harris. I'm still going to vote for Kamala. Just because someone did something that's, fucked up and possibly abused their power doesn't mean that they're any better than the person that is really fucked up and has completely abused his power multiple times over. Like, that doesn't hold water. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
So I'm looking at this thing now, and I don't want to get too off track. Josh, why don't you go ahead and tell us your feelings while I'm looking this up? Because I have a couple of questions about this thing, about what it's been said, what that has been. Yeah, just go.
Let me set the stage by saying I'm a lifelong Democrat who has found it harder and harder to be the enthusiastic supporter I once was. And that's not a good headspace to be in, because at the end of the day, I'm going to go in and do the right thing in the voting booth. But you want enthusiastic supporters because it has a lot of follow-on effects, right? So it worries me that I am begrudgingly stepping into the voting booth, and we don't have to get into all the litany of reasons why that is. But suffice to say, I do think there is cause for optimism. I do think your concerns about the polling are warranted, because Jason, to your point, Hillary had famously high unfavorables, and so a lot of people wanted to vote against her, and so that doesn't always show up in polling the way you might expect it to. But I will say that one thing that also showed up in the polling was a lot of people who intended to vote for Donald Trump but were afraid to say so to a pollster because of the negative, the stigma associated with it socially. And there may still be some of that. So I've seen some of these polls, and I'm worried they're oversampling Democrats still. So we would be wise to stick an asterisk next to those numbers and not get too ahead of ourselves. If it says you're up 3, you should assume you're up 1, that kind of thing. So, they seem to have the momentum at the moment. I'm curious to see what will happen with the debates.
If they happen.
Yeah. I think it will, or at least one will, because they just need it too badly.
They need to at least have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an
actual debate where Trump actually has to answer questions. That would be that would be nice.
Yeah.
So I think for me, So I think for me, I came out of it with a little bit, like there was a little bit more hope than I thought that I would. Because I went into it with this idea of like, after watching some of the RNC, I didn't watch a lot of it because listen, there's only so much I can take. But after watching a little bit of the RNC and seeing kind of what was happening, it was almost like, okay, we got Biden out. What now? Like, and I wasn't necessarily on team Biden go away. You know what I mean? I was on team, listen, he's got some issues. He's got some things that we need to address, but I can't deny that the man is effective at his job. And you can look at, policy, because to me, I feel like elections should be about policy and not personality. And, Trump, say what you want about him, and I do. But, like, he is charismatic. He is in that, like, dangerous sort of way. He does have a grasp of the media and how to play the media into his own gains that I don't think Democrats, as a general rule, do. Although I will say this new slate of Democrats, these new ones that's around, they're not playing the same hostro games that the old one did. When they go low, we go high. Democrats are gone. They're like, when they go low, we go to hell, bitch.
When Democrats have started discussing things, they have started making comments and hand gestures that are very poignant, that are not things that they used before. That was the best fucking thing. But like from the DNC, you had a lot of solid hits as far as like those little one-liners, because God knows that's what people live and breathe off of now is sound bites. They don't take the time to understand real policy. They don't take the time to understand real discussion. They want to get something that's just funny or eye-catching. Like one of the first things that was posted on the Harris HQ TikTok was Donald Trump saying, it's like, apparently she's a prosecutor and I'm a felon, and then just cut it to I approve this message from Kamala Harris. Like, he said it, I agree. That was all it was. But it was a like slap right off the bat, and that's kind of the way that they've taken it, which, being blunt, thank God. Like, if it had just been only their policy as their go high method like they used in 2016, I don't think there'd be this big like drive, this big thing. Honestly, the little sound bites and the little things that are being put out there are they're not as low as some of the Trump things, but they are definitely feeling free to take swings at them that they didn't back in 2016.
I also think back in 2016 there was this idea that and I was guilty of it too. We all looked at Trump as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it wasn't until he won that we were like, oh shit, we should have taken him more serious. You know what I mean?
I was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially on the left, looked at that like, oh, we have to figure out how to talk to people. We have to figure out how to get people. Like, it's not enough to just have good policy anymore. You have to have good policy plus someone who can get in the mud with Republicans. I think that's why Joe Biden worked in 2020, because he had policy behind him. He had the bona fides behind him, but he also didn't have a problem getting in the mud with Donald Trump.
One of his best moments in the entire Biden 2020 campaign was during the debate when he said to Trump, "Will you shut up, man?"
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
people were shouting from the rooftops about that moment because it was effective, right? It's the kind of thing that any person would do were they in that situation, right? You know, you got this guy blabbing, it gets on your nerves, right? And you snap at him because that's a human moment. And the Democrats haven't historically been great at that.
No.
Ironically, Hillary was like one of the worst, right? They would put this poor woman in front of like a phone camera and say, "Okay, we're going to do a TikTok. Now say this." And they'd give her some, lingo like, "I'm chilling in Cedar Rapids." And it just sounded so wooden. And it's like, what are you doing?
It sounded very pandery.
Like she was a robot.
Yeah.
Which, and I think there was this need for the Hillary Clinton campaign. And I think it's something that Democrats do that I hate. I hate this idea that like, oh, we have to connect with the young voters, or hey, we need to connect with Black voters. We need to do this. Rather than just being yourself and saying, this is who I am, this is me as a person. This is why I love Tim Walz. Because he's just your somebody's uncle. You know what I mean? I expect, he seems like the type of man who is just like, he's your neighbor that you go and borrow the gas from the lawnmower from. Like, he just seems like that kind of person. And so there isn't this idea or this need to like pander to Black voters or pander to younger voters or anything. He just gets to be himself. And
I think, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's kind of one of the things that is hitting off with Walz in a small way. He is giving the same vibes that Biden did in 2008 through 2016. He was, it was Grandpa Joe. This is Uncle Tim. So it's that same idea of like, it's this fun kind of laid back, just, put on your aviators and stroll around kind of a vibe that he's giving, which is reconnecting with people who it didn't for a while, especially as Biden started to age. He became less of the, oh yeah, it's cool Uncle Joe, or it's cool Grandpa Joe, to it's Grandpa Joe.
Yeah. It became
Grandpa Joe. Yeah, great Grandpa Joe. Cool Grandpa Joe became great grandpa, who's wandering around awkwardly into the amusement park. And you're like, oh fuck, where did he go?
Who forgot to give Grandpa Joe his man?
Yeah.
And so it's, so for me now, I'm like really starting to feel like, okay, we actually have a shot here. I'm not like we got this in the bag.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Because I did that in 2016 and we ended up with Donald Trump. Yeah. So you ain't gonna fool me again, bitches.
Yeah.
But
it's still definitely also an uphill battle.
I hate to say this, but the Democratic convention brought it on themselves for what happened in 2016 because Hillary shouldn't have gotten the ticket.
I 100% agree with you.
She should not have gotten the ticket. Not because she's a woman.
Up to it. Yeah.
She was just not fit for the role.
There has never been, and I'm going to say that this is where we're going to disagree. There has never been a more qualified person on paper. When you stack her resume next to anyone else's, there's never been a more qualified person to run the country. She has done it all. She has all of the things. If Hillary Clinton was not Hillary Clinton, with all of the baggage that comes with, and you saw that resume on paper, you would be like, that person needs to run for president.
Problem. The Democrats really like to think that everyone bases their decisions off of the resume, and they don't.
Yep.
But again, I still say,
one of the things that really screwed them in 2016, beyond Hillary's getting the ticket was the fact that the way that she got the ticket, the way that the party itself basically shoved Hillary down everyone's throat when Bernie was like still right there, through all the way up until the ticket was finally decided at the convention. There was a real chance Bernie was going to make it. And then the party itself just shoved all of the non-committed electors, delegates to Hillary, and was like, no, she's going to win. It's like, but fucking why?
It was Mitt Romney all over again.
Yeah, the groundswell that was building with Bernie was powerful. And if they had tapped into it and grabbed it, it could have been something amazing. Instead, they shoved Hillary into everyone's face, and everyone was kind of like, you guys kind of fucked us, because it wasn't like he was, 1,000 delegates down. He was within striking distance. He was literally, if they had not shoved all of the delegates in one direction, he could have made the argument at the convention to get elected through just repetitive tallying of the delegates. But they didn't.
Debbie Schultz got out there, and after all of that, right, they cleared a path for Hillary, and then Debbie Wasserman Schultz basically got up there like that French colonel at the end of the invasion of Algiers and said, I apologize for nothing. I did what a party chair was supposed to do. And it's like, okay, well, that's great for you, but we're all stuck.
And how much were you paid to do that?
Yeah.
It did not help. And by the way, there were shades of that in 2022, because let's not forget, Mayor Pete dropped out the same day as his arch nemesis, Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar.
Oh my
so
God,
that was clearly coordinated.
Listen, the two of them used to go rounds, baby. Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar, I was like, they don't like each other.
No, they had that thing where she was like,
they're good now.
Clear that she had worked her whole career to get on that stage, and then here comes the fucking mayor of South Bend out of nowhere, and she's like, how dare you be on this stage next to me? She hated him. But that's not what we're here to talk about, so sorry.
I mean, it's always great. It's always.
Well, I mean, it all ties into the DNC, because this was decided like when Biden basically got the ticket. He was handed the ticket because he was the incumbent and he was the only person anyone was giving any possibility to, which yet again, that goes back to our primaries discussion from a couple of episodes ago about how utter bullshit it is whenever they don't let people actually vote. But it brings up the whole point about when Biden stepped down, it was Harris. It was just Harris was going to get it. But the way that it was done was not shoved in anybody's face. They actually worked to try to get some level of like, yeah, he's stepping off the ticket, so she's going to bump up. Let's rally around this person. And then Harris stepped forward and did a fantastic job swelling that support, grabbing walls, building it all up. And then honestly, because I did watch, not every night, but I watched at least an hour or two each night. And it was pretty damn good and hilarious, with the fact that it was a goddamn party, especially whenever you consider how the roll call happened by comparison to the RNC's roll call.
Little John, your home state of Georgia, Joshua, tell us how proud you were at that moment.
It
felt very on brand. It was very us.
Yeah.
It's funny. As I was watching it, I almost texted you and we've been like, your state does not have any chill. Like they don't have like Georgia don't have no chill.
Zero.
They don't believe in it.
It was so good though, and definitely showed the energy from one group versus the old, stubborn, annoying RNC's version of their thing of just like, yeah, we are still this. We're still this tired old librarian standing up on the stage, basically just saying, I would like to hear from Iowa, your delegates. 43 delegates for Trump. New Hampshire, like that was all. That's all it was. It was just Hey, he got the ticket. Hooray. Versus the energy you saw and felt at the DNC was meant to get that hype up and make people excited to get involved, to go and do stuff. And thankfully, somewhat, they did not just harp on give us money. They tried to make some calls for, getting out, door knocking, talking to voters, and trying to share the reason why Harris should get the presidency, which was nice to see. They definitely still asked for money.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing: like, it's the DNC and the RNC are supposed to be pep rally.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be this moment of being excited about your ticket, about a hopeful vision of your future.
Hulk Hogan tearing his shirt off.
We don't want to talk about that. But I think that there was a stark contrast in the RNC vision of the future and the DNC vision of the future. And I think, in my opinion, I think that is what moved the needle for me from, listen, y'all can try whatever you want to, but the man survived an assassination attempt, so therefore he's going to win. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
To maybe we have a shot.
And to use that as the other reference that I had for the two things, while first off, still going back to photographers never should have gotten that close. No one should have been within 100 feet of the president, the former president, after an assassination attempt, blah, blah, blah. I can get into that shit. But the photos of him stupidly, I stand by this. I don't care who has a different opinion on this, stupidly having those Secret Service agents allow him to shove his stupid fat head above their protective detail with that orange goddamn bullseye for anyone else who might have been in the crowd. Total and utter bullshit. Even like Republicans, they claim it was the deep state trying to kill him, or trying to set it all up. But they even think it was fucking staged. They just have a different opinion on which way it was staged. But that photo of him with his fist in the air, all pissed off and angry, versus the photo of Harris standing on the stage with her niece in the foreground, of just this young black girl looking up at the stage of this very educated, very smart, very capable black woman accepting the nomination. There's your contrast. You have the fighter, fraud, moron, and you have this beautiful moment of the future of a little girl getting to see the opportunity that's being displayed right now. The chance for the first female, first black, first Indian woman president of the United States. That's your difference. That's your very core base difference. Old angry white guy, somebody who checks like 100 boxes that we should have done 50 years ago, but whatever. It's that idea that it is a brighter future in one respect versus someone that has caused such division that someone who is a registered from his own party took a shot at him.
Thoughts, Joshua?
Tig, I think you're right about the contrast. I think if we look at this as an election of a hopeful vision for the future versus an angry and defiant vision of the present, that seems like an apt comparison. The thing that worries me is if we were to ask everyone in the country, do you feel hopeful or do you feel angry? What kind of answer might we get? There's a reason he got elected last time, and it was the same sentiment, right? So if the politics of resentment turn out to be more lucrative, we've got ourselves a problem.
Yeah.
So I would hope that the Democrats can articulate a vision that is more compelling. And that's not a simple thing, but I would hope that they...
I have family members who'd agree with you.
Resentment is a hard feeling to get out of. And, I think there's also, and this is going to kind of guide me into our next topic. People who tend to have that feeling of resentment either do one of two things: they get angry or they check out. And Josh, I know that you checked out for a while, so kind of give us some ideas of like what were your reasoning for checking out and saying, you know what, I'm done, can't deal with this.
So I think, like a lot of people, there certainly was a point for me, I think it happens for others, where it felt like we were tilting at windmills constantly. And you can do your part, right? You can sign the petitions, you can show up in the voting booth, you can make your contributions, you can do the things that a participatory democracy call for. But if you consume a lot of media, a lot of political media, or any for that matter, it doesn't take very long for you to realize that there are a lot of things that are out of your hands. And that can be very frustrating and very demoralizing. And so you can either choose to pile that on and end up in a feedback loop where you're constantly demoralized, or you can do what I did and step back and say, this is not healthy for me, right? I have a less hopeful vision of the future with every day that passes. That's not a good headspace to be in. So I did the thing that I felt was necessary, which was to step back. And it's very disorienting at first because you have that sort of, you're getting these dopamine hits every time that you're watching some story that feeds into your biases. And so backing away from that, you're having to retrain your brain and getting the minimal amount of information you need to function in a society without diving deep in, hours of watching programming and all this, listening to the podcast and all the stuff that comes along with it. I ultimately found it to be a good thing for me because I started regaining some of that hopefulness, and I started feeling a bit more in touch with reality and less like I was getting away from reality and into, flights of fancy with my imagination running away from me, like doom scrolling and so on. So it ended up being a good thing for me. In fact, the only reason I really have found myself stepping back into the waters is because as we get closer to the election, I want to be a good citizen. I want to be informed, and I want to do my part. So I've been sort of getting back into it so that I can engage in informed conversations with people. Who knows, maybe sway a couple of minds here and there, but at the very least, make informed decisions. But it's not an easy thing because you're always on the precipice of getting pulled into a media that has every incentive to addict you. And the best way to addict someone is to trigger those dopamine boosts, which, as we know, right, rage clicks are the number one tool. So it doesn't take much, right? You have to walk a fine line. I think we have to self-police a lot more than we might have a couple cycles ago, because media organizations have learned exactly which strings to tug at.
Right. I agree with you on that. Yeah. I think that one of the things for me, because I will say that although I have stayed relatively tapped in, I'm not tapped in nearly as deep as I was in 16 or 20. And part of that for me was my mental health. Because 2016 did a fucking number on me. If you want to go back there, listen, KC Caffeine, you can go through the whole thing. It's right there for all of us to deal with. You know what I mean? You can get the whole backstory. But I think that for me, there was always this need to be informed, to know what was going on, to at least, touch points. There was something great about 2020 to 2024, at least for the first half, being able to go through life and go through my day and not hear about something crazy the president has done or said, or, some weird, wild thing that just doesn't make any fucking sense. But here we are.
Looking into the eyes of a Civil War veteran who was crying and telling him about how happy he was that he was the president. Sorry.
We don't have to do that.
Quote literal from Donald Trump.
Right.
Civil War veteran.
Not Civil War. It's not could be not a Civil War veteran.
You say
Civil War veteran. Civil War.
Good,
Hang on. Let me get you the exact quote.
But in his defense, he was confusing that with the Battle of the Network Stars. So it's an honest mistake.
Not dancing. Not he was like just dancing with
Battle
the
of
stars.
what?
Battle of the Network Stars. But
maybe
I think
maybe he was referring to Selma, like a
The movie.
not the movie.
one of those police officers that was arresting people at Selma.
I just
A
Lord
civil
help me.
rights veteran.
No, he wasn't talking to them. So one of the moments that speaking of civil rights, one of the moments I thought was very poignant.
Can I
Yep, go ahead.
Can I give the quote? I found it. It was at real Donald Trump. I need a screenshot. It's fake. I want to say this because I found the Snopes thing and all that. It purportedly showed an ex-post by President Trump in which he boasted about recent visit to the Arlington National Cemetery. I have that to talk about later.
Oh yeah, we'll get there, but we're not there yet.
But somebody made a post that said, "Today I visited Arlington Cemetery to honor victims. I wanted to remind everyone that I was the greatest president ever on the military. I am the best I am the best on the military on the planet, probably in history. Soldiers and veterans love me. Once, a Civil War soldier came to me with tears in his eyes and said, 'Sir, thank you for building the United States military from scratch. You reminded me of General Patton because you are such a strong fighter and master in strategy. If you did not have the devastating bone spurs, you would have been a great soldier and probably general.'" I don't care if it's satire and someone else posted it. I believed it. The fact that I believed it is enough to say that man is very capable of making that kind of a statement.
And that's the problem with Donald Trump tweets, and is because he said so many things that are out of pocket,
That's
out
fantastic.
of line, out of league, and out of his mind. That anything that comes up,
And that
with
was
that
totally
name,
in his narrative.
I would 100% believe that. Like I saw that, and I read it and went, okay, because I just believed it. And maybe this brings me to something else. Hold on, guys. So I don't know if you saw, Josh. I don't know if you saw this, but on my Facebook, I posted this thing that said, Black/queer people, who are voting for Donald Trump, why? No judgment. Just want to know. I got some responses. Nobody that responded was Black or queer. So people I wasn't talking to felt the need to respond, which is fine. But there's one particular thing I wanted to bring up on that. Someone said, politics, aren't about race and gender and sexual orientation and all of that, which is wrong because that 100% is. It's why why this podcast exists. So then I responded and said, if you believe that, then I got some swampland in Alaska to sell you, or swampland in Arizona to sell you. Look at Project 2025. The response was, Project 2025 is a socialist Democrat hoax along with QAnon. Now, wait a minute. So you're trying to tell me the QAnon is a Democrat hoax. Like, I just need to know where reality stops. Because one of the things that I figured that I've noticed in the last 8 years, I'll say 8 years, is we can't even agree on what reality is. Like, we can't even agree that, this set of timeline things happened. We look at the January 6th. January 6th was, we saw it on the television. We all watched it at the same time. But if you look back or you hear them talking about it now, it was just a peaceful protest. Nothing happened. Nothing to see here. January 6th is a Democrat hoax. Talk about the border wall. Donald Trump is telling people that he built the wall that we can't see. Ain't no wall there. But if you ask a Trump supporter right now, he built that wall. When are we going to be able to just have all of us agree on the same set of his facts? These are things that happened. When are we going to be able to do that? Somebody help run out.
We may never get there. Here's your dose of hopefulness. I work in technology, and I see a lot coming down the road for AI, and we are rapidly approaching a post-truth society if we're not there already. And there will come a time when you don't just have your own tailored reality based on a couple of media outlets, like I have my Fox News reality or I have my MSNBC reality. You're going to have your very own reality that's different from your neighbors and it's different from theirs and so on. So we're already in a bubble, but it's going to get a lot more insular when the possibilities for content are endless, like when things can be generated to meet your specific set of biases.
like Taylor Swift posting, "I want you to vote for Donald Trump" thing.
Right.
Which literally everybody was like, "That's a lie.
Yeah.
That's not true." But
it would only take stuff like that, because you can swing certain things with AI even now, where you can play subtle differences and subtle changes. I mean, the RNC has been utilizing photos of women that they have slightly doctored with AI and other methods to give the impression of support that isn't actually there. I'd have to find some of the images, but those have been popping up and thankfully being reported on. But
Yeah, if the hope is that we're one day going to reach a point where we can all engage on an objective reality, that day may never come in our lifetime.
That's stressing me out. Because when he said that QAnon doesn't exist, I was like, now wait a minute. Marjorie Taylor Greene told us about the QAnon. There was a whole shaman.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it that... I just want us to get to a place where we are all like, you know what? These things happened in reality. And regardless of my feelings on them, whether I think they were a good thing or a bad thing, or positive or negative or somewhere in between, we at least all agree that shit happened.
Yeah.
Because it's wild to me that there is a subset of the population who can see something happen, who can be around for something and then go, that ain't happened. And I wish I could be that person. I wish I could be that person. Because you know what I would do? I would just be like, you know what? None of the things happened. None of my life has been great. I'm just a millionaire. It's not my fault that y'all can't see it. You know what I mean? Like I've already said that if Donald Trump tries to pull the same bullshit in 2024 that he did in 2022, I am going to my local lottery office and telling them that I won the lottery, and everything else that says that I didn't is fake news. And so I would like my check, please. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's because that we've gotten to a point where like nothing, the truth doesn't matter. Facts don't matter anymore. And to me, that is what scares me about where we are right now. Is that if we can't at all say, whether you agree with, reproductive rights or LGBT rights or, civil rights or, reparations, we'll get there, but we're not there yet. Or any of that stuff, we at least all have to agree that the things that happened in reality actually happened. Because the first one of you motherfuckers to tell me that slavery didn't happen, I'm punching you in the back of your throat. Because that's where we're going.
110%.
Like, that's where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Overton window has shifted enough that there's a non-zero number of people who say that slavery wasn't actually that bad, and that many of them enjoyed it. So at this rate, yeah, we're probably about 10 years
The
out
fuck?
from like saying, yeah. So it's
Oh yeah, somebody I'm cussing out today said some shit similar to that. So
yeah.
just okay.
But if we are in a world where everybody gets their own facts, and if we're not, we're certainly rapidly approaching it. If we can't engage on a basis where everyone agrees to certain basic facts about a situation, we had better learn how to fight the battle with a new set of tools. And I would certainly hope that the left is adaptable enough to say, okay, I've got my facts in order, and I've got my very logical argument, and I can try to present that and fail, or I can say, here's an emotional appeal to what is going to tug at your heartstrings, and maybe that will get through. I don't love it, but there were a lot of jobs that were lost in the Industrial Revolution, and even in the internet age, how many travel agents are left? Like sometimes you have to adapt or be left behind. So I think this is the world we're in now, and we better learn to play by the new set of rules, because I guarantee they are.
Yeah, see, that just turns me off completely.
Yeah, for me, it's facts have to matter.
Yeah.
Like they have to, because if facts don't matter, I'm a millionaire, I won the lottery, and I would like my check. Guess when the last time I played the lottery was? Never. But it's just okay. So I know that we have.
I want to see more character. I want to see more character in leadership positions, period. And when we appeal to emotions and pander and that type of thing, then we're not showing a character.
All right, now I know that we have to. Joshua is on a different time zone as us, so we're not gonna have a long show today. So we're gonna go ahead and start the cussing out phase of the thing. Joshua Lewis, I want you to think about who you cussing out, because I'm gonna let Tig go first.
Okay, I'll do my straightforward, obvious one. Ann Coulter, please come to the front of the congregation. Ann Coulter, please come to the front of the congregation. Now, for those that don't know, I have a 5-year-old son. He has not been fully diagnosed, but shows signs of autism. So when I saw Tim Walls' son, Gus, at the DNC stand up, clapping proudly for his dad and said, "That's my dad. That's my dad." Tears in his eyes, happy as he could be. I felt an overwhelming sense of pride and excitement for someone whose child shows that level of love to a parent. That tells me your kid loves you because they know you love them. And for Ann to make a post saying, "That's weird," are the sheer number of, and I'll expand. Literally every Republican commentator on X, come on down, you dry-assed motherfuckers. With you looking at a child expressing that level of love and connection and hope from a child to their parent, did your daddy not love you? Did your parents not love you? It definitely shows, because you don't recognize it. You don't see it for what it was. You saw it as a poor, weak kid being weird. First off, he has autism. He is a special needs kid. So he might not react in what societal standards would say is normal. But what's normal about it is a kid who loves his dad. And for you to try to spin that in some negative way just says, like, look at that kid. Look at how goofy he looks. And so his dad probably showed up to his baseball games and told him he was proud of him, that he loved him. Every one of you was probably just crying in a corner because your parents didn't express love back to you in the same way. Please find some level of compassion in your dark, dirty, muddied hearts, and find a way to share that with the rest of the world and recognize a moment of pure joy and happiness for what it was. Or sit down and shut up. You can return to your seats. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Tyler.
Fuck you, Ann.
Tyler, do you have anyone that you would like to cut out today?
You horse-faced piece of shit.
All right, Mark Zuckerberg. Get your billionaire ass down to the stage. What the fuck were you doing with this letter? Seriously. This is so ridiculous. So my problems with this are, first of all, in the letter, Zuckerberg says that he regrets pulling a story or not giving, like, throttling stories that had not been vetted by independent news for their accuracy. Like, that's what a news place does. If you're going to use news, you want to make sure that your stories are fact-checked before you report. Otherwise, you're just a tabloid. So figure it out. Are you a news source? Are you a rumor mill? A tabloid? What are you? Figure it out. But this bullshit of I'm not going to give any money to help people get to voting stations and everything else just because you feel butthurt is ridiculous. That's my piece.
And also, for that, and I'm just going to piggyback on that a little bit. This was about COVID misinformation. People were fucking dying.
Yeah.
Eat 7 dicks. Although
They
you
were
might do that
dying.
already because you may not be human. I said it, I ain't taking it
And
back.
also, while we're at it, this whole business of it being a free speech violation, Facebook is the internet. Free speech doesn't apply to a private platform. Period.
Yeah, Queen.
If
Tell
you
her.
don't like it, you sign the user agreement, so go somewhere else and fuck
Okay.
off.
This
All
is
right,
why I
Josh.
got my face.
Tom would never do us like this.
Do what?
Tom would never do us like this.
This is why I kept my MySpace. Good old Tom.
I miss
Right?
All right,
Yes.
Josh, do you have one yet, or would you like me to go ahead and do mine first?
You go ahead.
North Carolina GOP governor candidate Mark Robinson, bring your ass down here to the front of the congregation, because I have some shit to say to your Uncle Ruckus ass. You, sir, are the very reason. And now, you know what? You can come down here, and as a note, Byron Donalds, bring your ass down here. Tim Scott, bring your ass down here. And there's one more, Michaela something. I don't remember what her name is. She's not that interesting. Bring your black asses down here, because
I was like, don't forget that stupid hoe.
Who, Amber Rose? Yeah, I don't. We don't. Listen, I'm not giving her any more clout. I've given her enough.
Candace
No,
Owens.
Candace Owens. We don't.
Yeah,
We don't.
that one.
We don't listen. I don't talk to people who don't know how to put birth control in their hair. I can't do it. But these four individuals right now, got your edges looking crunchy and shit. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You don't have a praying grandmother. That's what's wrong with you. Mark Robinson said at a campaign stop, Black people are not owed reparations for slavery. Now, I understand that this is a hot topic, but he also said that we owe white people for bringing us to this country. And we should be doing more. Oh,
Yeah.
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 Yay.
Literal
What?
quoted words on video.
He also said he wants to go back to a time where women did not vote. I don't know why you decided to be a living, breathing Boondocks character, but I'm going to need you to understand that you, sir, you are black.
I'm sorry.
I don't know who told you you were not. Byron Donalds, you are black. I don't care how many white wives you have. Just because you stick your dick in whiteness.
He's got that
doesn't make you-
Revitiligo.
Tim Scott, you got played on national fucking television for the entire country. You did all that shucking and or driving for Donald Trump to try to get that VP slot, and he was never going to give it to you. You were never going to get it. It was what did you all get for this, other than being embarrassed and disinvited to the cookout? Was it worth it? Now, I am not here to have an in-depth discussion on reparations. I have my feelings on it, but it's none of y'all business. I am not here to have a discussion on, if you are not going to do to help, please do no harm. Leave all of us collectively alone. To the point, if North Carolina may go blue this year, which, yay, but it is because you found the worst of it's like It's like this man looked at Donald Trump and said, I can do better than that. Hold my beer. Hold my Schlitz malt liquor. You look like that. And I said it out loud, and I ain't coming back.
Not Schlitz.
And then I did a little digging because, that's what I do. Did you know that his wife was sued by the Girl Scouts of America? How bad do you have to be sued by the damn Girl Scouts? This is the most hood story I had ever heard. This woman bought $3,000 worth of Girl Scout cookies and didn't pay for them. So they sued to get their money. You had a collection agency come get their money for the Girl Scouts because you didn't pay them. Now I want you to explain to me, right here, why you didn't pay the Girl Scouts their money. But you got the nerve, unmitigated gall, to come to us and tell us what we need to do as a people. You owed Girl Scouts reparations. Give it to them.
Oh my God, that's the whole point. That's why he doesn't understand reparations.
Because he had to play him in the Girl Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
A person once told me that you can't make sense out of nonsense. Like it's impossible. And what you are, Mark Robinson, is the living embodiment of nonsense. That's why you're shaped like Dr. Robotnik. And you look like Uncle Ruckus. If one of your eyes starts looking across the room, like going in the opposite direction, I will not be stopped. And I'm done. Y'all can go sit down somewhere. Oh, I'm not done. Michaela, whatever your name is. How you have the nerve to get on stage in Atlanta, Georgia, and talk about the Democrats, and if y'all don't know who this woman is, she's the Chick-fil-A girl, the black girl at Chick-fil-A who was hugging on Trump. She did a speech a couple weeks ago in Atlanta, Georgia, and said all kind of out-of-pocket things. Ma'am, you tried to say that Trump saved Clark Atlanta. Clark Atlanta had to come back and be like, listen, boo-boo, we don't know her. Trump didn't save a damn thing. We was doing all right. Yes, we get money from the government, and we are happy to get that money every time it comes in. Helps us, fund our school. Great. But he didn't save a damn thing. And it is really gross. It is disgusting how these black Republicans are playing in our faces. You think that because you're boo-boo the fool, that we're boo-boo the fool. And that is not the case. And now I'm done. Josh, please tell us you got somebody to cuss out.
Got a couple. This first one's going to piss people off, but, I got to get this off my chest. Oprah Winfrey gave a whole bunch of money to the DNC, and we thank you for that, Oprah. But when there were wildfires that were burning down Lahaina, Hawaii, you were asking people to donate, and I didn't know you were coughing up a whole bunch of that cash that you had been sitting on, apparently, for the people of Hawaii. So I would like you to go back to your estate and continue scissoring Gail. Stop acting funny with your butt.
Why you couldn't get your fairies and your fairies in the garden to go out there and put the fires down?
Exactly.
You got magical fairies and shit in there.
She could have had Dr. Phil out there with a helmet on, fire hose. Like, man,
it would have been a better use of his time.
Seriously. So that was one that didn't sit well with me. Had to get that out. And then the other one is it's a twofer. So my dear friend Tulsi Gabbard and national hero RFK Jr. Recently endorsed the man Donald Trump, to the surprise of no one, zero people.
Tens of people. In the words of Josh, tens of people were shocked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tulsi,
people were shocked.
I found it particularly egregious from Tulsi because you could tell it was naked opportunism because in 2016 she was all for Bernie. Then in 2020, when Bernie didn't drop out, but when he was still running, she endorsed Joe Biden. Now she's endorsing Donald Trump. So she's trying to just pick the winning horse. Because it didn't work out for her in 2016. So she's like, I'm just going to go whoever I think is going to win. So I'm not wild about that. She just needs to go back to fucking her hot husband in their RV and leave the politics to the grown-ups. And as far as RFK is concerned, actually, I'd be okay if he would just take a sip of water. That would go a long way for me. But if he's not going to do that, I would very much like for him to hold back on some of these helpful opinions of his, because every once in a while you get something that actually does make sense. Like, we are ingesting far too many endocrine disruptors, which is why we have a 50% childhood obesity rate in America, while Japan has a 3% one. That's good. That's a good thing that we should all know and be discussing. It should be informing public policy. But I would rather that not be coming from the man who has worms in his brain. Literally.
Yep.
So, thank you very much for your endorsements. Please go
Or
sit
took a bear carcass to Central Park because he thought it would be funny.
Yeah.
You know what? You have to be a new... Listen. Okay, we're not done with you. Come on back.
Are we sure that he's not just an AI bot?
It's tough. It's hard to tell.
Are we sure that he's not an AI bot? Because he really feels like an AI bot.
Strange.
When your whole family, your family, the people who know you the best, say, we don't know her. When they give you the Mariah Carey, we don't know her, you have strayed far from the pack.
And let me underscore this for you. This is the same family that did not disown Teddy when he drunk drove a woman off a bridge. So let's ask ourselves, how far from the pack has he strayed?
Yeah.
He's so far from the pack, he has seen it from the other side.
Right. It's a 2-day drive and a boat trip to where RFK has gone.
Yeah.
Like, and guys, that your church is over.
What? I got one. I still have my other one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You did have another one. Go for it.
Yeah. Fuck the Trump campaign staffers. Just absolutely fuck them. Just going to start out that way. But you all come down here. I don't even care which one it is. It's probably all of you, whatever. Which one of you absolute maniacal morons thought that, number one, it was perfectly fine to bring an outside photographer into Arlington Cemetery? I'm not even going to get into the full altercation thing because there's enough gray area there that I won't perpetuate it, other than state that it did happen. What exactly happened, I don't know. But you took a private photographer, a campaign photographer, into Arlington Cemetery Section 60 to be able to get a photo of Trump in front of a grave, because, now here's the part that I will allow, the families of one of the people who died in the bombing at the airport when they were leaving Afghanistan asked him to come. They have their own problems with understanding that stuff happened, and I don't want to go into that, but to force your way in, however it happened, to force your way in to get that campaign photograph that he supports the troops, when there's numerous references to the fact that he didn't, including his multiple deferments, his bone spurs, and everything else that prevented him from showing any attempt to actually serve his country. I found a person who was there who, like, the NPR quoted someone who was actually there. He laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and then went to Section 60, where he did get a photograph with the family that's been posted online at one of the graves of the men who passed. However, because they don't care about the military, you all don't care about the military, you decided to include multiple other gravestones in that photograph, including 2 Green Berets who also passed away in conflict. One of them in conflict. The other one I read actually died from suicide. For those that don't know, Project 22 is and I'm going to throw this in there just because I need to. I have a great respect for the military. Project 22 references the fact that every 22 minutes, a Army veteran commits suicide. If you're not aware of that, that is a fact. It is how often it happens. Please support our veterans. Please show love and care for them. They have been through hell, some of them literally, and are still fighting those fights at home. Please show respect to the veterans. Getting back to you all fucktards who don't respect the veterans, that family of the person who committed suicide did not give permission for his photo to be utilized in that. Your disrespect is unfathomable to somebody who says they care about this country and its military. He can say everything he wants. The campaign can say whatever they want. You broke every rule when it came to that hallowed ground where so many people have been buried and their families want to be there. And whoever this official was that was in the altercation, if they are an official from the cemetery, as all the claims state, those people are trained to deal with dozens of high school kids, guys who come to that cemetery to pour out a beer on a grave of their friend that they lost, and they still navigate those with decorum, respect, and honor. And you had none to be able to step out there and do that. And I'll just finish it with, are you aware you broke campaign, or you broke a federal law about taking photographs? Are you aware that that was breaking a federal law to take campaign photographs at Arlington National Cemetery? No? Yeah, figured. You douchebag can go sit back down. Show some respect to the troops. Show some respect to all of the veterans. And don't go around trying to push your fucking lies and your bullshit agenda and disrespect those troops. I'm done. You can sit back down, you small-minded children.
And I hope you step on a rock, bitch. Well, guys, that was our episode. Joshua, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joshua.
Coming in
Thank you.
and blessing us with your knowledge.
Yes, thank you, Joshua.
I can leave you with a parting bit of advice. This applies in politics and in the bedroom. Never trust a poll.
Hey now. True, but hey now.
Keep your eyes open.
Until you've seen it.
That's right. That's right.
And on that note, guys, because I almost said something real nasty. Real
Keep your eyes
nasty.
open and know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
At all times.
Guys, on behalf of everyone here, we're going to say goodnight. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already done so. We love you guys so much. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.